Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie comic book creator interview. We're sitting here with our returning guest, John Sollitto. We're here to talk about Circuit Champ Chapter 1 and 2 and everything in between. John, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's always good to be here. I love the show.
Absolutely, and I know it is a whopping 8 in the morning for you, so I hope you got your coffee. We have ours and our mason glass, so we're ready to get this party started. I had a chance to reread Chapter 1 and the preview pages of Chapter 2, which you can find on Global Comics, guys. That link will be in the description down below. John, I want to say it's been probably about 40-50 interviews since you last been on. You know, what's been up since we talked about Chapter 1?
Well, really, Brendan and I have been focusing on making sure that we are delivering on the awesome promise of the fight at the end of Chapter 1 that you can see on there, and we are so excited to show Chapter 2. I think Brendan's done a great job in those preview pages, showing just the kind of fighting that can happen in this. Brendan's also been working on his own work, posting lots of awesome art. I think since our last conversation, I had a short story published, which was kind of fun.
Okay.
I got that published for Warhammer 40,000 for the Black Library, which was nice. And just been continuing to work on this Kickstarter and see it get to its funding goal, which has been, everyone's life forever when they have a Kickstarter is just focusing on that fundraising campaign.
Yeah, I've definitely interviewed more than enough of creators and looked at probably, I'd say, about 400 Kickstarters at this point. And every single one is usually very stressed, very, very anxious. Oftentimes, like, I'll be interviewing them, I just see them, like, I hear them clicking, like, the refresh, and it's like, yeah, I could not imagine how much stress that takes on you. This is your first Kickstarter?
It's actually my second, and this is my first successful one, though, because I have done a campaign on Zoop before. I'm unsure if you're familiar with Zoop as a campaign platform. They are a mostly comics platform with indie comics creators. I had a really good experience there for my other comic, Veritas, issues 1 and 2. That group of guys are fantastic. When they were helping me, manage the campaign, they were giving me suggestions for things that would help. They were promoting the campaign themselves. I felt really assisted and taken care of by those guys. I then did one on Kickstarter. Much harder platform. You're a voice in a larger sea of so many other products, and there is no real help from Kickstarter unless you become like a project we love sort of Kickstarter campaign. That one didn't succeed. This one, however, we've had a great turnout from friends and family, new readers of the series of Circuit Champ. We're very excited and very grateful that this campaign has been successful so far, but the campaign's not done. We've got 3 more days to go, and if we get some more funding, there are some stretch goals in mind that I've got that could really be some really interesting things. So we're looking forward to it.
I always love hearing the stories of because you can hear stories all day long of campaigns that come in, get funded first day, do well, and I feel like the ones that like fall and come back and make it just hit so much sweeter. It's such a sweeter taste of victory. I feel like everyone wants that day 1 funding, but to like come back from like a campaign that maybe didn't fund and then get one funded has to feel like a really good feeling of gratitude and success.
It's definitely a relief. It's definitely I don't think it's hit just yet. I think once the last 72 hours finish, my brain will be like, okay, now it's done.
Now it's time to sleep.
Because then my brain will be like, okay, now you have to deliver on all the things, which will be the next bit. And I think starting next week, that is going to be congratulations, you can relax. Okay, you have to start delivering everything that you promised you deliver to everybody. And that is I think the second part of Kickstarter campaigns that people kind of forget about is living up to your word and delivering and being on time, and that aspect goes a long way. I mean, I heard definitely from the Zoop campaign a lot of good feedback from people being like, wow, I didn't think you'd deliver immediately. Like, I didn't think you'd get the stuff to us
Hmm.
as quickly as you did, because I've also seen Kickstarter campaigns that take like 2 years to pay out of their, their rewards and things like that. And that gets frustrating because then you forget about it because you're
Yeah.
excited for it in the moment and you want that stuff then. And now you don't have anything for 2 years. And Brendan and I have been very adamant about like, okay, like we're going to get you rewards as soon as possible. Chapter 2 obviously still has to be drawn and finished, but we're going to have a bunch of other stuff for you in the meantime. So while you're waiting, you've got chapter 1 if you haven't read it yet. You've got 2 comics from both Brendan and I, so you can see our other work. We've got a bunch of other new indie comics from other indie creators, to show people like, hey, look, we're all a community. If Circuit Champ might not be for you, there's other stuff out there, and you can
Hmm.
all see these great, wonderful comics. And even if you like us and you like them, that's great because they all have Kickstarters of their own every now and then. So we try to spread the love for our friends who've been publishing us and posting us beside them.
Absolutely, and it really does take a community to really raise the tides, for all boats included, I feel. And being a creator that wants to help other creators only helps the entire industry as it stands. We have a lot of people who are in it to win it for themselves, and I mean, more credit for them if they can make it work that way. But I feel like helping your fellow creators, like, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that we had friends like Doug Wood who were retweeting us and posting about us
Hmm.
online, and offered to have one of his comics in our digital bundle as a reward for the Kickstarter. Doug is just one of the most positive people in this industry, and I have really appreciated all the work that he's done. And I
Hmm.
would be remiss if I didn't try to return the favor for him. So when we were thinking of people to bring in as possible, other rewards, I was like, hey, man, whatever you've got, it's going in our thing.
Yeah.
You've got, how can I help and pay you back for the amount of community and support that you've given me?
Hmm. That is so cool. So, chapter 1, we're introduced to Grace and her bot, Sydney. And we talked a little bit about this on the last show, but I really liked how you guys developed the character, like just right off the rip, showing how capable she is. One thing I don't know if we really talked about was Sydney and Sydney's design. I really liked, because you see it a little bit better with chapter 2, I feel, but the silhouette that you
Yeah.
see from Sydney, and just like the legs. I thought the legs were very interesting. And like when you see the silhouette, it
Yeah.
kind of clicks and makes sense.
Yeah. I was a fan of Brendan's concept of something about Sydney has to be unique, not just in the fact that like the design is unique, or it she looks a little patchwork, as
Hmm.
Grace has kind of built her from different scrap from the yard. um and we kind of settled on Grace. While she might be smaller, she is faster and more maneuverable as a fighter, and Sydney had to reflect that. And so the little blade feet were kind of this idea of just something that can give her an edge that
Hmm.
other mechs wouldn't have. And playing into that concept of being a more maneuverable mech, a faster mech, a lower profile mech, was a great challenge, I think, for both of us, in terms of me thinking of how to incorporate that constantly in the writing, and for Brendan to showcase that with the art. And I think we're getting close to that in chapter 2. But I love Sydney's giant Hellboy hands.
Hmm.
Those are just awesome. I love big old mitts for a
Yeah.
robot, and that was just kind of a fun aspect to kind of have that juxtaposition of like tiny tiny feet and really big fists, which is just a little fun unbalance in the character design, but it works perfectly, I think.
I really liked how you introduced like the character that has kind of the patchwork bot with the dude who's sponsored has like a squeaky clean mech, Jock and
Yeah.
Falcone, and just like how you have like the underdog go up against the top dog like right off the rip in the first round. What was your direction with that?
I think it, intentionally it was meant to be, we have an endearing and engendering experience with Sydney and Grace, but just showing she's here for the love of the game. She's self-taught. She has the
Hmm.
support of her family. She's very eager to do this and then show like, hey, okay, so this is an accepted thing that isn't weird and that is normal in this world. Great. She is an accomplished savant at what she does, and that's awesome. There is another aspect of this that is really serious. And in
Hmm.
my mind, the difference, it's the difference between playing pickup basketball and playing against somebody who's in the NBA. You've got someone who's having a good time, who's really dedicated to learning the fundamentals and having fun with their friends, and maybe genuinely a good basketball player. But then you play against someone who plays to win for money, and it is their job and it is their life. It is not their hobby. And that is an arresting experience. I've done a lot of sports in my life, from basketball up to, track and field. When I was in college, I was an NCAA Division I track athlete. And there was 100% a difference. Like
Hmm.
I went to schools that were like, I mean, I guess you can throw shot put and discus, because we have them and we've got rings for it. And I was like, this is awesome. I love this. And then when I went to college, I went up against guys from like USC and UCLA. And I was like, oh, you want to go to the Olympics?
Yeah.
We're in a totally different like class here. And I kind of feel like you should just go and I'll be over here. And to actually come up against someone who wants to like crush you for their record is a weird
It
experience.
is.
And that's kind of what we were trying to have with Jacques, was like, he is entirely going on a different journey. He's an entirely different comic, a different TV show of his own.
Hmm.
And coming up against a happy-go-lucky fun person is just like, you are a waste of my time. And I think that there's no other greater character drama than two different people doing the exact same thing coming from two different places.
Yeah, and I really, really appreciated just how knowledgeable Grace was. You could tell she was obsessed with this tournament right off the rip. Other contenders she was meeting, they really didn't know too much, but she did. They were even speculating if this was truly her first time. And then when she goes to meet that make that initial introduction with Jock, just how jaded he is. Like, hey, leave me alone. I'm gonna stomp you. I'm gonna get you out of the way. We don't even need to give first names. This is nonsense. Like, I love how arrogant this dude is. Right off the rip, you want to see him lose like right off the rip.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's I kind of likened it. I was like, if this is a guy from like Call of Duty Pro League who has to go to a small town LAN party to win, to show that he's got victories, he's
Hmm.
gonna hate this. He's gonna hate everything about this. Everyone's gonna be friends. Everyone's gonna be having a good time. There's gonna be kids there. There's gonna be like, people that he doesn't think that need to be there.
Hmm.
This is a waste, and he's just here to like pub stomp and be done with it. And it's an easy, quick way to get heat in wrestling is knocking the hometown, knocking the place where you're at, telling everyone that they're beneath you. And that's all that Jacques is. And a lot of this is both Brennan and I are big fans of wrestling. And one of the things that I love in wrestling is how heats manipulate the crowd and manipulate the audience
Hmm.
into hating them, even though it's a small thing. And I also wanted to show that Grace isn't bothered by that. Grace doesn't take this personal. This isn't an attack to her. It's just that guy doesn't understand me, and that's okay. I'll just show him that I mean business. He has the wrong idea. It's all right. And I think
So
that's also a noble quality of hers, being a good sport.
with issue 2, we finally, issue or chapter 1, we see them kind of like meet up. Like, we see them get ready for the fight. You gave us a cliffhanger, a nice little teaser. Issue 2 starts right off with the action. And I really liked seeing just like the dynamics of the fight. The way, I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but the way it was, paneled out and drawn and everything, that's where we really see the silhouettes of like Falcone and Sydney. And it really stands out. Brendan has such an awesome attention to detail with silhouettes. I know we've had him on the show before. We talked about the importance of that, and you really get to see that shine during the fight. What was that paneling like for you? Did you watch any movies, maybe like Pacific Rim or any like sort of like bot mech fighting show or anything kind of for inspiration?
Pacific Rim, I think part of the initial idea that I had for this coming in for the entire series was Real Steel. And
Hmm.
I kind of remember pitching that to Brendan in the beginning. I was like, this is just going to be anime real steel. I think the working title I had in my mind before we came up with Circuit Champ was called Shonen Robo. Um, and I kept bringing up those, like, I just want Rock'em Sock'em robots, but with the most anime flair to it possible. And you look at Gundam, you look at like things like Big O back in the day, for
I
those
was just about to
millennial
say Big O.
Toonami
Yeah,
fans. Yeah, oh yeah.
that was like what, 2 in the morning.
Even just like, yeah, even like Sentai shows with, like, Power Rangers, you get their robots. Um, having large things that move m- quickly or very dramatically is a striking look.
Hmm.
With Pacific Rim, it was like those giant, like, karate moves that some of the bots would do, those big haymakers or the dodges or the complex configurations that they could do, were what caught your eye. I think Brendan does a good job of making the action fluid from panel to panel. We have a really good editor, Krista Heriter, Cabbage Comics on Twitter and I think other social media. Krista does a great job of also keeping continuity from panel to panel and
Yeah.
checking us and letting us know, like, action bleeds a little bit here, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on, or like, remember 180 rule, like, you can't break that. And that's been a great help to us too, just to make sure that we are being parsable.
Hmm.
I think also, I one of my other comics is a superhero comic, and writing superhero action is very dynamic, and having that experience and history in my background now to look at mech fighting is, to me, it's the same thing. You want to show the powers, you want to show the skills, and you want to showcase everything so that everyone knows who's who in the fight. And I think Brendan does a great job of also just the size of the mechs, especially in this fight between Sydney and Falcone. Sydney's a smaller mech. She's maybe up to Falcone's chest.
Hmm.
And so it's really easy to tell who's doing what because it's the smaller one in the panel versus the big one. And I think that's always a good David versus Goliath imagery that helps the reader follow what's going on.
For everyone that is watching, right here is a link to check out this Kickstarter with us. I already dropped it a little bit ago, but here it is again to be sure to check out. If you can back, we would love to see that, but put this on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth always is 100% free, and it costs absolutely nothing to do, and you could read Chapter 1 for free on Global Comics to get a taste of what this comic is all about. We have some preview pages we're going to check out down below as well. I'm very excited for this Kickstarter campaign. So right here, I really I love the art style. I love the colors. What was the reasoning for having like the first 2 pages in color? I can't remember if I asked that or not the last time.
Well, we were going for an anime vibe and
Mhm.
for a manga vibe. And traditionally manga does have maybe the first 2 to 4 pages colored, and we did first 2 to 4, and then it was the last 2 to 4, which is where you get the big old fight panel
Yeah.
and page. And sometimes it's ease, sometimes it's style. Like, we do talk about occasionally, do we ever want to do this full color? We throw the idea back and forth. I think it just comes down to time and expediency,
Yeah.
because we do want to make this and give people, the product faster, because we want people to be excited about it and want more. But it is something we have talked about in the future of just like, do we want to do it more colored? Do we want to do it all colored?
Mhm.
Maybe. We're not opposed to it.
And right here is that huge Goliath versus David scene right there. And I want to talk a little bit about the actual fighting. I mean, I feel like we didn't do that last time. What does these rounds, what do the rounds look like? I know we heard a mention of repairing. What does that look like too if a bot gets damaged during a fight? Do you take a day off and fix it? Like, can you give us kind of an idea what the behind the scenes looks like for this kind of a championship?
Sure. So every championship and every tournament is a little bit different, which is going to be kind of the fun thing. Like, there's going to be tag team ones, there's going to be team fights, there's going to be even like races in the future in my mind. But this one specifically, a Triple Rock, it is a round robin tournament with a loser's bracket. So if you lose, you get bumped down to the loser's bracket, and you can keep fighting if you keep winning. But you fight for one day, and then you go home and you repair your bot. and
Hmm.
you come back the next day and you keep trying. So it's kind of a skill test to see how good you are at fighting, but also how good you are at repairing, which is harder for characters that come in to the tournament who don't have a home base, kind of like Sydney does with, or Grace does with her family nearby. You've got all the other fighters like Javier and Win who are traveling here, so they have to do their repairs wherever they can.
Yeah.
And so for them, it's kind of a big risk to take a lot of damage. Same thing with Jacques, where, Grace and Sydney might have the upper hand because of it's sort of a home field advantage. But these tournaments are quite common in this world, because it's just supposed to be like, not only can you fight this, are you a good engineer, technician,
Yeah.
mechanic? Which kind of shows the superiority in an all-around way, as opposed to just, are you good at fighting? And you're kind of a one-trick pony.
So are we going to be able to see like upgrades happening in between like repair days, or is that something that's kind of off topic right now?
I can definitely tell, like, obviously, as the rounds progress, people are going to need to do
Hmm.
repairs. I will say in chapter 2 we're going to see more of Grace's family and Torque's, sons, and Polly, who is Torque's wife. Um, we have really kind of wanted to spend chapter 2 to flesh out those characters, to show kind of the support network that Grace has, but also just kind of the breadth of skills and personality types that are in this world, because you gotta, and there's no way that Grace comes out of this fight with Jacques unscathed.
Hmm.
He's just a bigger badder mech, and she's going to need help, which I also, was a concerted effort to show that, Grace is good at what she does, but nobody's perfect and everybody needs help. And she luckily and thankfully has a great family support network behind her.
Yeah, and it's a lot different. Once again, I translate it to cars, like built, not bought, broad, or whatever. Like you
Right.
can
I mean,
buy an
NASCAR has
expensive
pickers.
car. Yeah, yeah, you could buy the most expensive car in the lot, but if you build it and fine tune it and know how to drive it and know what it's capable of, that's way different than just getting the fanciest thing off the lot.
Absolutely.
So right here are some of the comic bundles that are going to be included. And is this, you just get these just for backing, or is this part of a bundle deal?
So there is a tier where you can get all these extra comics that come with Circuit Champ, as well as 2 other series from myself and Brendan that are our own.
Hmm.
Brendan's Marukiro, and I think I'm going to give chapter 1 of Veritas and first story of Certifiable Investigations. But these are some of our friends who have agreed to give us like first issues of their own series to bundle along with it. So it's kind of like getting Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
There is a backer level where you can get it, which is just a bunch of other comics with the thing that you want, so that maybe you can find something else and support them. Speaking of, like I said, Magic Powder, Jeff Schiller. There is a Magic Powder Kickstarter going on right now for issues 1 through 6. If you really like that, and if you end up back in our campaign, you get issue 1 and you really enjoy it. That one's going on right now, and Jeff's just a great dude. Has been working on Magic Powder and I think the Elf with No Name for a while now, and I'm so excited that he's got some successful campaigns under his belt.
It's a crazy
But we've
campaign.
been
It's
really happy to see them.
in story too. I
Oh
love
yeah.
Magic Powder.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, we've got Jazz, we've got Leap M, we've got August. Oh my God, Benjamin Morris's comic at the end, one of the last ones we have showing there, is gorgeous. That is some of the best comics art on an indie book I've seen in a long time. I think he writes and draws it himself,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is beautiful. And if you're looking for some awesome sci-fi action, very Flash Gordon, Adam Strange, like old school Star Wars, please check that out. But yeah, we've got some awesome friends who've given us some really great comics. Like Jazz is great and fun and kind of like
Hmm.
very Toonami sort of anime. Leap M looks really awesome, sort of Frank Miller-esque kind of war drama. There's some great stuff there, and we've given rating systems to them in case you have kids and you want to give some comics to your kids. We want to make sure that you're not giving anything that you don't feel comfortable with them reading. But also, if you have your own personal things, you're like not too into gore or violence or stuff like that, then ahead of time. because we want to make sure everybody has something for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can get chapter 1 digitally for $5. We have chapter 2 coming hot off the press at $5 as well, and then you can get the digital bundle of both for just $10. I thought that was a pretty awesome price for two chapters. Are we ever going to see it come to physical?
That is the plan, I think, when we have the first volume done.
Okay.
Digital is just kind of for ease of access for everybody to make sure that we can get it. We're also going to put this up on Global Comics. I will say the benefit of backing here is you get it as a PDF. You can read however and wherever you like, because after this, the PDF is going to be only available on Global Comics. So then you'll have to use the Global Comics site to read it there. If you get these individually on your own here from the Kickstarter, you get them wherever you want. You can read them offline on a Kindle or whatever tablet you've got, on a beach, at a pool, wherever you feel like it. But if you're going to have, if you want to wait till it goes up on Global Comics, you absolutely can. We will be charging for them once they go on Global Comics, though. So it's kind of an incentive to get it here, is you get it for wherever you want. But we have talked about whether or not to offer anything physical, and it has been decided that, between the two of us, that once we finally finish a story arc, that will be a volume, and that will be available physically. We're going to do a Kickstarter for that so that people can have the comic in their hands.
Absolutely. And then we have a sticker bundle at 15. So you get chapters 1 and 2, and just for $5 more, you can get these awesome stickers off to the side. So we're going to see like a platypus. I seen in the print. It looked like a cute little platypus type creature. Beansy, I love the name.
Yeah, it's we have no idea any origin of Beansy. We just were like, hey man, this really cute floating platypus thing is a good idea. And we're like, yes it is. And we will absolutely put Beansy everywhere we possibly can. Beansy's going to show up in chapter 2 because you need a mascot. You need a Pikachu.
Yeah.
And that's Beansy, is a purple floating platypus.
And then we have the Indie Comics bundle right here. So just for $40, you can get all the comics that we were just talking about. Awesome issues, and then PDFs of chapter 1 and 2. So what, 11 more, or is that 13 altogether?
Gosh.
Yeah, so chapter 1 and 2, and then you'll receive 11 more. So 13 comics altogether for just $40. That's an insane price. That's probably probably over 200 pages of comics there, if not more.
Yeah.
And we have this print right here, and as soon as I seen this get dropped, I was in love with it. We see Beansy right there on the shoulder, and now that I seen that it's a sticker, we could expect to see them. It's awesome. I had no clue what this was when I first saw it.
Yeah, you got to have a little Beansy on your water bottle or your laptop, just to make sure you're doing a good job.
And then you'll also get, PDFs of chapter 1, 2, the stickers, and the indie comic bundle as well. So just $20 more, you're going to get a print on top of 13 books and stickers. Awesome price there. And last but not least, for $75, get drawn into the comic. So how many spots are we looking at? What type of, what are they going to be doing? Can you give us a little bit about what to expect?
I've been kind of going back and forth on that. We definitely have some crowd scenes that we are considering where we can put some folks in. There's also judges, and there's going to be some sponsors and things like that for the tournament. So you might see yourself as a sponsor, as a judge. We will be talking to the folks who do back at this level to ensure, like, okay, do you have any pictures of yourself that we could use for reference? Do you have a thing that you do or don't want to be? And I did this for Veritas as well. I kind of gave some options of things that we were thinking of, and whether those options appealed to the backer, and kind of just let it go from there. And so that's for this one. We've got lots of crowd shots, but also we have some other folks that'll come in and out. Also, customers for the Wrench Works that could show up. You never know. So really the way to find out is by backing at that level and seeing where you would be.
And then you're also going to get that print. So just $15 more. You'll get the print, the indie comic bundle, the stickers, and then chapter 1 and 2. So I loved how you tiered it up like that too. Like they get all the previous rewards and then some. Very awesome touch there. So John, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them to help push them over that fence? And guys, we're dropping that link in chat right now as well. So be sure to check it out while you listen.
This is definitely an all ages comic that we've been striving to do for. I think, but I don't want that to deceive you and think it's a kid's book. This is definitely we're shooting for Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Pokemon meets Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We want this to be a book that's approachable, that's fun, that is for everyone because it talks about things that everyone can kind of relate to, but the action is there, the excitement is there, but also the character moments are there. We want this to be rewarding. We want this to be something you feel good reading. I'm incredibly proud of what Brendan and I have kind of come up with, and the work that Brendan has done to make this world look so incredibly alive and unique and colorful and just full of character. I really want to show this to people and have them see this work and really see Brendan's work. And I can't wait to keep telling the story. And we can only really do that with your help. So we would love it if you found it able or were able to donate. We can keep doing that to keep Grace and Sydney fighting.
Absolutely. So, John, you've been on the show before. You know the drill. We always like asking for a piece of advice and then what you're watching outside of creating. So for anyone looking to do a Kickstarter for the first time or just create a campaign, what would be your biggest piece of advice after, having one fund, just getting it up and going and seeing it through? Would be your biggest piece of advice to help push them through that as well?
I would say start with a reasonable goal in mind, but also look at other campaigns doing what you're doing to kind of see how successful they were, how much you can expect to maybe get over your goal, what they're offering, and the prices of those. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to deviate from the norm too much, because you want to be something. It's helpful for Kickstarter backers to think of them as customers. It's like, oh, if we're all going to be shopping for milk, do I want the regular priced milk or do I want the $35 milk? That's going to kind of sticker shock folks a little bit. So you've got to kind of price yourself related to what you are making, but also don't be unfair to yourself and the work that you've done and underprice yourself. But it will take time to dial in. First one might not work, and that's gonna happen. You are shouting in a crowd, and so really you have to understand that this is not a guarantee. And I think that has been the one benefit I have had of having a failed one, is understanding what it feels like and kind of having that knowledge and preparation of like, okay, I know how it feels to fall. I'm a little less scared to fall. It'll suck, but I'm okay with it because I know what it feels like. But it feels even better to get funded. Yeah. So,
and you got to get back up if you want to make that dream happen. John, last but not least, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you gaming on? Let us know what you're doing outside of creating.
I just finished season 2 of My Adventures with Superman. That is so good. Oh my gosh.
Is that the animation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was so surprised at how good it was.
Oi,
I was really nervous. I was really nervous. But it was so good. I loved season 1, loved season 2. I think they are doing a great job of pulling things from Superman lore and not beating you over the head with it, but kind of making those things their own a little bit and kind of giving new spins on them. Loved it. I am playing a lot of Star Wars Outlaws right now. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I'm enjoying just kind of walking around and being in the Star Wars world. I also beat Space Marine 2, big Warhammer fan. That was really fun. Enjoying that a lot. And reading, I am still reading Kaiju number 8. And I just finished Go-Go Loser Ranger, the first 4 volumes of that. That's been interesting, but I've been really liking Kaiju number 8. And I just bought the old throwback comic Bravo for Adventure by Alex Toth, the creator of Space Ghost and one of the artists for Johnny Quest. So I'm going to kind of see what his comic is about, that he was trying to make for several years, and just see what that's like.
Let's go. Well, John, thank you for swinging by. We set the show up literally at like 1 a.m. last night. So I love how we both just made it work. So John, thank you for swinging by. Everyone watching, it's New Comic Book Day. What are you doing?
Yeah.
The perfect time to back. Right here is the link once again. Be sure to check it out. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.